Hi guys, Fallout 3 Confessions is finally here, and we have a wacky wild lineup. So why is this video not about Fallout 4 Confessions? To be quite honest, I was always hesitant about trying the Fallout series, but I decided to give Fallout 3 a try. I've just almost completed Fallout 3, I've downloaded Vegas, and I'm getting prepared to play that one, and then I'll move on to Fallout 4. So here we are, with the Fallout 3 Confessions, and names are of course anonymous, to protect the guilty. So I asked a question in some of the forums, what is your biggest Fallout 3 confession? And you guys did not disappoint me. Coming up we have some of the strangest confessions from 3 different categories. The first one is hoarding, the second one is newbie errors, and the third one is odd behaviour. And the behaviour is very, very odd. And when we finish with the anonymous confessions from you guys, I'm going to reveal my 4 confessions, 2 of which I have no idea what you guys will think after you've heard them. They are so bad, they're insanely bad. But anyway, we'll come to that. Let's begin. Category 1, hoarding. I collected every teddy bear in the game. Now that's a lot of collecting, considering that there's over 108 teddies in the game. But you have to admit the teddies are so cute. So I get it, I really do. I collected every baseball glove, and baseball bat I came across and stored them in my Megaton house. Put the bats in the corner, the baseballs in the wooden crates that are in the house, and the gloves on the shelves. You know, baseball is one of those sports that just has to be cherished. It has to be, the legacy just has to live on, even if the world is desolate and a wasteland. I had my Megaton home filled with all of the intact garden gnomes I could find. To me, this kind of looks a little bit creepy, like if you had loads of dolls like on a shelf plastered all around the ceiling and they all had beady eyes and staring at you. Went to a random encounter location and saved before walking up to it. Reloaded every time it wasn't the alien ship crash landing. The fire lance weapon, wanted it every single playthrough. Never used it though, the ammo was limited. I totally get this. The best way to make sure it doesn't run out is to not use it. I've had to force myself to use my alien blaster, and I'll throw a little glance at the ammo count every now and then. Now we're on to category 2, newbie errors. Things that we did that we really wish we hadn't done. I never found dog meat. Now this is actually a really common one. I myself just came across him randomly. Oh, it's a nice dog. Oh wow, his name's Dogmeat. And yes, our union was born. I remember walking up to Megaton and got in between a robot and a few alligator-sized ants. The robot, who was wearing a hat that I was insanely jealous of, shot me multiple times, then continued shooting at me after the ants were dead, so I killed him. Walking into Megaton, I assumed it was a raider city, seeing as how everybody and their mother was shooting at me with horrifying fervour. As I was midway through butchering the town, I realised this was not a raider town, because why else would there be invincible raiders? Darn you, Moriarty, and your invincibility. This is definitely one of those moments where you're happy to have a reload option. During my first playthrough, as I left Raven Rock, I saw a super mutant, so I killed it. Then I spent so much time revisiting the Museum of History to get Fawkes as a companion, and was so confused as to why he was never there. This is great, poor Fawkes. You know, I can just imagine him standing there, and all he wanted to do was lend a helping hand, and he was shot in the head. Now, just imagine if this next one had happened to you. One of my friends said if you get radiation, you die after 10 in-game days. I didn't know how to cure it, so I was afraid of radiation. While I was exploring a tunnel, I got rad sickness, freaked out, and tried to live my last 10 days to the fullest. I did chems, got a whole bunch of bad karma, and did everything I wouldn't regularly do. And when the 10th day kicked in, I was like, why am I not dead? Did I just become Heisenberg? This is bad. I mean, can you imagine if the game really was that harsh to us, where after 10 in-game days, we would just die? Moving on to the final category, odd behaviour. I stacked the bodies and bits of body in the northeast corner of the room. Okay. I have no theories as to why the northeast corner. I'm just gonna let this one slide. For some reason, I always had a thing for killing mole rats. Eventually, I was at the point of spawning them in by the dozens just to kill them. Always found their little scream and their heads exploding humorous. You know, I don't think I've noticed the screams before, but I can sort of see the appeal. I just play for fun and don't look for anything specific. Sometimes I just wander for hours doing nothing. TGM. Look at this, I mean this is great. How many of you can actually say that you've experienced Fallout 3 in this way? No, the next one is just mean. It's mean. You know, I'm not going to deny it. I burned every water beggar on my first playthrough. The negative karma was at an all-time high that night. I like to think on the second playthrough that they went to get water and offered it to the beggar. That would be a more civil thing to do. Now this final one in the odd behaviour category, I'm speechless. I mean, here. I thought my character looked stupid, so I removed all intelligence points and tried to roleplay a stupid character. So now before we move on to my dreaded confessions, we have a ridiculously cute confession that just has to have, not a category of its own, it just has to be on its own because it's so cute. Here we go. Stumbled upon a drive-in movie area. Me and Butch along with Dogmeat would chill out there sitting on the roof or hood of a car making up stupid stories while looking at a tattered, vandalised screen. Kinda like a drive-in date thing without the movie. Right, so my confessions. So I said last week, there's one Fallout confession that I don't want to say it. It's insanely bad. And I can guarantee that when I pose this question on the Fallout 3 forums, that no one is going to say this. No one is going to share my confession. It's going to be me alone, and you guys are going to laugh at me. And you know what? It's true. I've read all the confessions. 2 of my confessions, you know, are very similar to what you guys have said, but the last 2 confessions, especially the last confession, I knew no one would say it, and I was right. It was as predicted. So my first confession, I collect ammo. And I don't collect ammo just because I need it, I collect it because I can't be bothered to learn which ammo the guns I use actually take. This is like my worst nightmare, a room filled with ammo crates. I mean, this happens so much. I don't know, maybe it's the sound the ammo makes when it's leaving the container, I have no idea. That's just my first confession. My next confession, I have never used the Fat Man. I've never fired it in game. You know what? I'm going to do it now. Let's go and squash this confession completely, and then it will no longer be there. So seeing as I'm now going to be testing the Fat Man for the first time, I'm going to need a good location, and I know the jumpsuit is authentic, and it has this nostalgic feel to it, but I think this needs something a little bit more extravagant. So let's go ahead and dress appropriately for this adventure. So all I have in my inventory is the Fat Man. I've got no medicines, no chems. Got a little bit of stuff that for some reason is still in there, and loads of ammo. And we are going to put on these spectacles. Then we're going to put on a pre-war spring outfit and a bonnet, of course. And let's see what we look like before equipping the Fat Man. Yes, this is it. This is the look. This is what we're going to go for. This definitely looks the part. Okay, so now we have equipped the Fat Man, and I think that looks amazing. Right, so I actually have an idea where I'm going to be using the Fat Man. We are at Point Lookout, and while I was here, I came across some NPCs that really irritated me. You know, it wasn't that they were difficult to kill, I mean they were, but it was just the way they looked, the way they moved, the way they sounded. I hated everything about them. So these NPCs, they were called swarm folk. So the brawlers, bruisers, creepers, scrappers, trackers, I hated them so much. It's just, I don't know, I just hated everything about them. You know, it's just maybe their bellies and what's that? Oh dear, I don't actually have any armour on, so I'm probably gonna get hurt quite a bit. I've only got this one gun, so I don't want to use it on these people. Oh dear, I'm gonna have to use the console. Oh dear. I can hear my heartbeat. You see, the Fat Man, you know, it's gonna be reserved for my arc enemies, and the swamp folk are really my arc enemies. So I'm sorry. These guys are just not good enough. I mean, they were a pain to kill, but No, the other guys, the swamp folk, they are going to have to get wrecked by the fat man. Okay, so we actually have some swamp folk now, and I am now going to proceed to use the fat man for the first time. Considering I have no armour, I think she's doing a pretty good job. Wow, that is rather strong. I wish I'd have used the fat man sooner. Oh, and now I realise I actually have God mode on still. And let's just see how much damage they do without God mode. No. Oh dear, I'm scared. I need this cursor to go red. Wow, it actually hurt me. I have to say, I've been missing out. This is most definitely my favourite gun in the entire game. Where did that come from? Over there. Yes! I think she's satisfied now. Okay, now we're on to my third confession, which is extremely embarrassing, but it's not as embarrassing as my fourth confession. So there's still hope that you might close this video and you'll never know what the confession is, and that's all good. Number 3. I called Megatron for ages. Literally. Yes, Megatron from the Transformers. I just added the R, and yes, that's what happened. And onto my fourth confession. Guys, before I go into this, I will say that if anyone hasn't played Fallout 3, this is a major spoiler. This is a storyline kind of spoiler that will ruin the game if you haven't played it yet. So you feel free to just turn this video off and go play the game. When I was doing the questing with my character's in-game dad, it was fantastic. I don't think I felt warmness towards an NPC like I did, because it's kind of like family, and you know, that hasn't really been there in a lot of the games I've played. I became to like the character, and I was like, oh, he's really, really nice, and this is all great. And then we get to the purifier, and the inevitable happens. And I watch him die, and I tried to get in the room. I even toggled the free camera to get in and try to help, but no, he died. I was so upset. This is so bad. I cried and I quit Fallout for 15 minutes. There you go, I've said it. I've said it. Oh dear. I'm not going to live this down. There we go, there's my confession. There's the worst one of the lot. Done. Dusted. Right guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I did enjoy making this video a lot, and I enjoyed reading your confessions. So I'm moving on to Fallout Vegas soon, and I'm sure a video like this will not be far off. So thanks for watching, and take care guys.